I'm watching a dynamic in my 3D experience here where I'm seeing that you got a predator-prey situation where it's just in their nature to be a predator. They can't stop. And so you don't take it personal. You just protect yourself. And you always cross every T and dot every I, you know. And other people see it too. And the predator doesn't believe that other people can see them. But you can. And they can. And everybody can see it. And they think nobody can see them. That's what's weird. It's kind of like I said, that cat sitting out here in the grass, and you got a bird over here. He knows it's a predator, and as soon as that bird sees that predator move, he flies and goes up. He's right there in front of a predator. But his skills, ability to fly higher, outweigh the lion, because the lion can jump, but he can't jump but so high, you know. So the predator-prey dynamic is off the roof when it comes to society. And you would think that people in your family or people in your church or your job or your city or your state, or you would be all on the same team helping each other. But no, these predators, they're not. You know, they attack the Christians. Say the reason we're having trouble in society is because of the Christians speaking the truth. No, the reason we have trouble is because these narcissistic predators, these selfish, hell-bound sinners, they don't sacrifice. I haven't seen any New Age person sacrifice for anybody. They just want to take. Any witch that I've ever talked to, she doesn't really want to sacrifice for nobody. Maybe her kids, but she doesn't even do it. She just does that for security down the road. But I have not seen any witch or New Age or cult or ism really sacrifice for anybody unless they're going to get some big return, you know. The only ones that really sacrifice are those who get their power from God, and they have unlimited power from God, and they give out. You know. I drove around this guy who was an engineer, worked for Elon. He went in his office to give him advice about something, you know. He had an idea about hydrogen cars, not just electric, and he just kind of dismissed. I don't know if it was hydrogen or some kind of idea. He just kind of pushed him to the side. Which is, you know, that's his prerogative. But I think the guy had figured out, he'd done a lot of research, so he said, you know, who knows? But it's his business, so he can do what he wants. And a lot of times if you get distracted, if you have a goal and you get distracted on a bunch, you never get to the goal, you know. So he knows how to stay focused, you know. Usually an engineer is not a business person. They don't run a business. They just help engineer the business. Different kind of mindsets. To be a CEO, you pretty much have to be a predator. To run your business, you have to think like a predator, but then you have to draw it back in and not be a predator. You know, you're there to help other people, but you got to make a profit. And either you're going to sacrifice, or somebody's going to sacrifice. See that blood on the highway? There's always a sacrificial, redemptive. There's always a sign everywhere in front of you, the sacrificial redemptive system. Blood on the highway is a good example. Black, white, and red. The black and white is the cross. The red is the blood flow. And as I'm flowing, issue, the word flow goes back to issue, goes back to blood, because the woman has the blood flow for birthing. And so everything down here is the black, white, and red to birth you in from the natural mind to the spiritual mind. And some people get stuck in the carnal mind. They get stuck between the natural mind and the spiritual mind, and they just get stuck there because they don't understand there's something higher. And they struggle and struggle and struggle, and they finally cry out to God, when God shows it to them. In order to see the spirit walk, the spirit mind, you're going to have to go through some struggles. And most people never get there. Let's say they do get saved. Lord, come into my heart and save me. Let's say they who knows, but they're still, okay, let's say they got saved, but they move from the natural mind to the carnal mind. They're saved, but they're still in the carnal, the 3D mind. And they never want to move to the 5D, but to move to the 5D is going to be some pain, you know. And if they stay in the natural mindset, the carnal, they move from the natural to the carnal, the spiritual. If they stay in the natural carnal mindset, they're just going around the mountain and it's just pain. It's always relationship troubles. He said, she said, you looked at me funny, and all that stuff. And I've been married a couple times, dated a few women, and it seems like a lot of women just stuck in that loop. Why did you look at me that way? What are you talking about? I just looked at you. Why did you say that? Why get defensive? Ask me why try to provoke an argument over something that's nothing? I said what I said. If you don't like it, say, well, why did you say it that way? But don't say it in a accusatory. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just being genuine. Maybe I'm not attacking you, but you take it that way, you know. Well, you need to change. Then you go to counseling, and the counselor says, well, when you married him, was he like this? Yeah. So why do you expect him to change when he was like this when you married him? I actually experienced that. All he talks about is the Bible. He don't really want to go to any events or this, that. Was he like that before you married? Yeah. Why do you expect him to change? Why do you want him to be like you? Maybe he's trying to pull you up spiritually. Maybe the reason you go to these events, and maybe the reason you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, because you don't have an identity in Christ. Maybe you're still in the carnal mind and you're not a spiritual being. Maybe you're still in low vibration. You haven't risen up to the higher vibration, and just be content with what you've got. You always got to be going somewhere, doing something, having something, buying something, selling something, doing this, going here, talking to something. Can't you just be content with what you have? Be still and know that I am. Hello? All the gurus will tell you just to be still. But 99.99% of the people can't be still. 99.999 are not happy. So that's why they married you, to try to fill a void, because they have a void in their life. And they didn't marry you for love. They married you to fill that void. They didn't want to date you for love or get to know you. They just wanted you to get to know them so they could take, and look at me. Look at me. I got me an educated man, handsome man, a hardworking man. It's not about that person, that man's identity. It's just, they just want that image so they can tell their girlfriends and their mom and their family, look at me, I'm special. I found me a hardworking man. They don't even know the man. It's all about image and outward show. And when the jig is up and the marriage breaks down, they have to blame the other person, but actually they were the problem. But they'll never be able to admit it, because they didn't marry for love. They married for image, or they wanted to have a baby. I got to get married before I'm 30 because I want to have a baby. And after you hit 30, I got to get married before I hit 40 because of blah, blah, blah. I got to get married before I'm 50 because of blah, blah. I got to get married before I'm 60. Why is it the 30, 40, 50, 60 landmark that they want to get in? It's not about knowing a person and getting to know a person. They just want to get a security blanket. That's the carnal mind. That's the flesh mind. They don't care about that person. All they care about is their security and money and image. Security, outward show, image, and money. Where's the love? There's no love in them. They're predators. I don't care if they look like they're little weak dolls. They're still predators. The predators are off the roof these days, aren't they? A lot of it has to do with the government printing more money, but because whenever government prints more money, it's harder to survive because the price of bread goes up, price of milk. And with the SNAP thing, I don't know, there's going to be a lot of fighting going on because they got all that free stuff, and then somebody takes away their free, they're going to have to lay it on thick. They're going to have to become Jezebel 5.0, you know. Jezebel 5.0 when they stop the SNAP. I ain't gonna have no man rule over me. I ain't gonna have no man tell me what to do. But what happens when they stop the SNAP? And you say, oh, SNAP has stopped. I better go find me a man, but I'm a street harlot, so I ain't gonna be able to find a good man, so I'm gonna have to just play the harlot and be a Jezebel and hello. And it just keeps going, it just keeps spiraling down. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But one day, the chickens come home to roost, is that the saying? And one day, with their age, one day they're going to face God. And he says, I never knew you. You've embodied the devil. Instead of embodying the mind of Christ, you've embodied the devil. And so, depart from me, wicked. You know, when you think about the great white throne judgment, I know when I think, I don't really picture women being there. I don't know why in my mind, but there's going to be a lot of women there. And society, the culture has turned the women try to turn them into men or something. But at the great white throne judgment, there's going to be men and women there. And there's going to be men and women screaming in hell forever. And so my suggestion to everybody is to ask God Almighty, to save you. And all your evil and all your manipulation and all your witchcraft, they're actually, like, witchcraft is bad, right? Witchcraft is one of the worst things out there. And so there's probably going to be, I hate to tell you, more women burning in hell than men, because there's a lot of women doing witchcraft. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.